It would be great to have someone who could do our work for us, right? Someone to prevent us from making mistakes. Someone to assist with our routine professionally and allow us to devote our time to communicating with our closest people. If only we could get results without wasting our time for nothing. Unfortunately, it's impossible in real life. But wait, Light Forex Social Trading. Spend your time doing what really matters to you.
Good morning, guys. RBNZ cut not 25 but half 50 basis point. Huge reduction in the market expectations with another cut around November. So that's gonna be very interesting. I'm sitting Aussie Kiwi long based on what we discussed yesterday. So yeah, that was luck. Right ahead our meeting. I've been long cable, and I moved my stop to +1 and been stopped out right ahead our meeting. But overall, thank you RBNZ. Of course the better choice would be taking into the consideration where we are also with from Kiwi perspective. The better choice would be any other Kiwi cross like Euro, like Euro, New Zealand dollar, NZD, USD, etc. But I'm happy I have here long Aussie Kiwi, so doing quite well, partially close already. Anyway, so that's the fireworks. Thanks to the China and Tokyo session. So let's start to discuss the possibilities of the day ahead of the London Open. But of course, before we will do that, risk warning, guys, as usual. Hi Mer, good morning. So risk warning, guys, please bear in mind trading effects on margin trading, crypto on margin carries a high level of risk. May not be suitable for all investors who can sustain a loss of some or all initial investment, so please do not invest the money that you cannot afford. To lose, seek education, gain experience before risking real money. However, past performance doesn't guarantee future results. Alright, so where we are, let me go that way to get your attention instead of the looking what kind of the position I have. So overall, the thing we discussed yesterday, that there is a possibility on Aussie Kiwi, that I am a fan of Aussie Kiwi to the upside, and yeah, thank you, it materialized. But it's not that I have to get back for a second to the position. It's not that easy because I didn't move that stop after the move, right? My stop was based on this manipulation phase over here, right? So I've been well under pressure right ahead of the RBNZ, right? Guys, I'm sorry I didn't provide the live stream from RBNZ rate decision. Simply there was some technical glitch, so that's the one. Anyway, that's the reason. Anyway, I've been well under pressure right ahead, right? So I've been very close to be stopped out instead of being in profit here on Aussie Kiwi. Anyway, going forward, I do think that we have a big chance to retest the previous supply, right? So we are talking about the levels close to 105, 105.50. All right, that's how it looks right now from the Aussie Kiwi perspective. And if you remember educational webinar, we held three of them in in June. Perfect swing low here on Aussie Kiwi. So let's go. I'm looking right now on that cross. I'm looking right now for a close above this falling channel, right? And I might even think about adding into the current long position. From Aussie with US dollar, that's the total crash of the Australian dollar, right? We were discussing that yesterday, that all about the market behavior around 2019 low as well as the weekly open, and instead of breaking the line to the upside, we were talking about we've seen huge monster breakdown, more Australian dollar weakness, right? So it's the second week after the it's another weak currency after the RBNZ, the weakest one over the course of the Tokyo session. And to be honest with you, right now, I don't know where we are going. Probably we may try to go towards 65. Anyone? Extremely weak. Of course, the US-China trade tensions didn't help here, as well as the latest yuan fixing, because it's worth to mention when we are talking about the Kiwi or Aussie, it's worth to mention where we are from the dollar Chinese yuan perspective, especially the People Bank of China. They set up the reference rate, the fix at 69996. So right below 7. And then the day before it was like 696 something. So yuan is weakening. US guys and the whole White House administration is blaming the Chinese guy that they are the FX manipulators. Of course, Chinese guys trying to answer that no, they are not. Anyway, plenty of good stuff going on with this commodity currencies block. We've seen massive weakness here. So I'm about to check again Aussie Euro Kiwi, Aussie Pound Kiwi, as well as these currencies versus Japanese yen. Anyway, we are going to check that when there is a little bit of the time. Before we'll jump and discuss majors, let's try to ask Michał what he has, what does he want to tell us after the Monday and Tuesday busy trading days. So give us a few seconds. I'm going to try to connect with Michał. So bear with us. Mr. Michał, good morning. How are you doing this Wednesday morning? Is it good? Is it bad? Tell us something.
It's like every other morning. Like every other morning with Mr. Trump, right?
So
more
every morning is a good morning. So Michał,
Yes.
all over to you. Tell us what you have for us.
Okay, maybe I will start about the U.S. Like you mentioned, all the informations about this accusing from the Donald Trump about the FX manipulation, but they said they are not. But most important is that they just did nothing to avoid this currency weakening, and that's what was making angry Mr. Trump. I think he just the punch that he gave to the Chinese just went back to him. It's like double-edged sword at the moment, right? So and on top of that, the Chinese still are not purchasing the non-farm farm products from the U.S. And they also suggested the new tariffs in return to return the favor, right, to the U.S. president. So I think we are still having this fight. The tensions are growing, and also
that's the thing. The tensions are growing instead of the weakening.
Yes.
Instead of trying to look for the solve the problem, they are growing.
They're growing, yeah, or just like stay at the same some level, like we can say that. But also, those tensions might also put a pressure on Fed. Like at the moment, we see that when the Donald Trump saying something and he has not the support from the legislative power, right? So it's causing more and more more and more confused about the statement about the US side, right?
Yeah.
And I think it also put pressure on Fed that they can. They didn't say that they will do it, but also they didn't mention that they will not do it. So they might. I think they might. If those tensions will grow day by day, I think we might see another rate cut at the September. But also, I think that Fed has a little bit of problem with communicating with the market. Right? They said that it's not the beginning of a cycle of the rate cut. But later in the speech, Powell wanted to mention that, that might not be the end of the rate cut. So I think it's a very, very confusing stuff right now. What's going on with the Fed, right? I saw the chart that most of when the situation was clear was at the end of the Ben Bernanke time and the beginning of the Yellen. So I think that it was a very I can say that I agree to that it was very, very clear, the statements from the central bank side. But right now it's a little bit confusing. The PMI going forward, the PMIs were significantly worse, non-manufacturing PMIs from the US.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's it's the worst figure in the last 3 years. So it's also some negative impulse on the dollar.
Let me disturbing you for a second.
Yeah.
When we are talking about the US data, because what we were expecting or what we were discussing already for quite some time, that market was expecting the reaction from the Fed perspective much earlier, right? But we were laughing that every time Powell was trying to to be a little bit dovish, immediately next day or next few days the data was so strong. But looks like the weakening of the US economic is like a little bit delayed. So right now what we've seen, part of the US data is still quite good, but some quite important things like you mentioned, ISM or if you wish PMI is weakening. So there are few, when we are talking about the US data as a whole, so the few things right now are weaker. So maybe we are getting this US slowdown with a bit of the delay, so that might be the case as well. But again, here I would like to stress as much as I can that the Fed did their job very well, because if you remember, we were discussing that Bank of England, we were discussing ECB, that it's for them what's left is like verbal intervention, because the truth is that they're saying that they have plenty of tools, but the truth is they are almost without any kind of the tool. But the great job Fed did is that yes, they can say that they have a plenty of tools to try to work with the slowdown. And the thing is that we have to trust the Fed right now, because yes, they do have plenty of tools and easily they can lower the rates even lower, not going into the negative territory. Back to you, Michał.
Yes, as you mentioned about the tools, I think the much more like on plus for the Fed, we can say that they have a Trump, right? So they just need to coordinate their actions with the President Trump, which also we mentioned before, that it's more about like political tensions, right? From the not about the central banks right now, more about the politicians, and it's more about the coordinating the actions with the President Trump, and if that is going right, it's we think that they did good job, but I think it's more like coordinate actions with the President Trump and trying to look good at the moment. That's why the ECB and Bank of England right now, they are like out of ammo, as we mentioned. Going for the euro, yesterday I think the decline was just a corrective of the latest growth, and even like the good Germany manufacturing data, very good, which increased to 2.5%, didn't help to continue the growth of the currency. About RBA, about Australia, we saw that they left the interest rates untouched, and I think they're untouched, unchanged. And I think that I think it's on the way more on the trade balance that growth to the 8 billions right now, and which is surprisingly good number according to the situation between US and China, right? The China is the biggest Australia business partner, which buys from them the most. and I think that should weaken the Aussie, should put a negative sentiment, negative action on the Australian dollar. But we see a good trade balance, and I think that made a little bit of the confidence gave the confidence to the Bank of Australia to leave the rates and to continue to monitor the economy. On the other side,
what we have to
yes,
focus also on when we are talking about the Aussie dollar, based on their statement, we have to focus on the job market and housing data as well.
Yeah, it's like the job market and housing data and inflation, right? It's like every other central bank, but I don't know if I quite good saw that the Aussie also reacted to the New Zealand dollar rate decision.
Yeah. So overall, Aussie is stronger versus Kiwi. That helped me a lot. But overall, Aussie is the second weakest currency over the course of the Tokyo session. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but also about the interest rates, the New Zealand were having the much more balance to lower the rates, right? In Australia is 1%, but in the New Zealand there was 1.5, right? So they had the place to to lower the rates. And,
it was to be honest with you, the 50 basis point cut was monster. The question right now is if it's a one and done, or as I mentioned before, because right now after the decision, the market expectations about next cut are growing. So in November, market is expecting another 25 basis point cut.
Yes, but from the statement of the New Zealand Reserve Bank, they said that employment was very good at the maximum of the sustainability level, and inflation is also a little bit below the target, 2%. And they just said that without this intervention, without this rate cut, they were expecting to miss the targets by far. They just explained that the rate cut for this inflation and the job market, and also they are expecting that with the rate cut they will grow the business spending, and the housing market the construction market will grow the demand, and it will strengthen the economy. And after that they will closely monitor. I think it's I think they said, and by the actions we can see that they are not effing around with not like the other central bank, right? But I think it's also that they are a smaller country, smaller economy than the US. They don't have to think twice before think a third time before making such a move, because it's not influencing such the global economy as the US guys that are making the decisions about the rate cuts.
Very true.
Yes, I said that they were expecting very very low. They will miss the target, so that was the reason for the rate cut, such a big rate cut. I think that's all about the New Zealand dollar, that they just will act appropriately, as any other central bank said. And we can see that we can expect that if the tensions will grow, the job market and the inflation will also weaken, will lower, that we will see another rate cut, right?
Thank you, thank you, Michał.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you very much for your inputs. Anything would you like to add?
I think that's all. I think that's all what I wanted to add today.
Great. Thank you very much. Wish you a pleasant London session, and see you around.
Same to you guys. Take care.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Goodbye.
Next time.
All right, guys. So let's go briefly through the majors, and we will get back to the Aussie and Kiwi if we have a time in relation to euro or pound. So from the euro dollar perspective, there is no change into what we discussed yesterday. Still, there is a possibility from the daily chart perspective that we are going to create the swing high over here as we speak. There was a weak close yesterday below the green supply zone, so there we can treat it as a stop count for now, right? And the lower levels are still possible, especially that we didn't hit the manipulation level we discussed yesterday. So trying to switch to the lower time frame, trying to talk from the intraday perspective. What is all about. We are testing the Monday high right now and we see the rejection. If we are going to take into the consideration the whole move to the downside yesterday as a one wave, and we are going to add into the current weakness. So as you can see, the manipulation level based on the daily chart, the green zone here, right, 1160, 1130, and when we are talking about the equal waves, we might hit the lower end of that daily manipulation zone. And as we discussed, as we spoke yesterday, 1140, 1130, trying to narrow this range. Lower, we have from the daily chart perspective, we have over under around 1110 and 11 psychological level, right? And then trying to go lower, we have a possibility to eventually end the business around, finish the business around 1060, 1050. So that's from the bull's perspective. From the bear's perspective, well, I've been waiting for a retest of this level around 1225, 1235. Didn't materialize yet. I'm gonna be patient here. There is no reason to try to chase the market. I think because it's yesterday Europe high, it's today Tokyo high, market may want to try to hit that stops, right? Market may want to try to look for liquidity. So I'm waiting for the first approach from the short side. I'm waiting around 25.35. Then we have a possibility to see them finishing the business around 12.45, and eventually what we discussed yesterday, double top where the second top is a little bit higher, looking for liquidity. We might even try to hit the high, yesterday high, right? But overall, I do believe that the same as 1140, 1130, the bottom of this manipulation point is very important from the bull's perspective. The same way, I think that here 1224, 1235 as a huge important level right now from the intraday perspective for bears. Talking about the cable, I've been trying, as I mentioned at the very beginning of our meeting, I've been trying to be long, been stopped at +1. To be honest with you, I've been thinking for a while that we are about to trade this megaphone formation we have here on the intraday chart, but come on, it's 22 looks like right now as a huge level from the bear's perspective. And as you can see, Monday high, yesterday we were trying to go higher towards the London fix, another attempt with rejection. So today over under, and we've been rejected around 21.90. Now let's have a look what we can get here, because I think there is a one more chance from the bull's perspective to try to hit more stops, right? In that case, we are talking about the levels we've seen previous week, right? So what I'm gonna to look for as a bear, I'm going to look for more stop count above yesterday high hitting the supply based on what we've seen at the end of the July, right? So that's also going to be the stop count above the top of the channel, and I'm going to look for a rejection and trying to join the parity to the downside. On the other hand, if you are a bull and you wanna be pound long, then from the intraday perspective, watching the price action we've seen yesterday, we have quite good demand around weekly open, and in that case we are talking about 2130 down to 2080, right? So it might be the case that we are going to retest the bottom of the channel, maybe some kind of the stop count, maybe lower shadow below the weekly open. That's what I would like to see based on this intraday chart. So trying to summarize the cable, looking for a stop count to the upside or stop count to the downside before next move from my side. Dollar yen, massive consolidation probably is going on. Tokyo session broad retest of the possible demand. That's what we are trying to hold right now. If you are a bull, you wanna see the current Tokyo low and the Monday low to hold. So I'm looking for longs around 105, 85, 106. With the stops below Monday low. I'm talking about my stops are gonna be below 105.70, 75. In case you are a big bear, in that case, no change to what we discussed yesterday. I have to use this Fibonacci to try to show you what I'm talking about. I'm looking for a liquidity hunt, and I'm looking for a levels from Friday, right? I'm looking for a retest again of that zone. I'm looking for a stop count when we are talking about the yesterday high and the Friday high, and the rejection over there. It might be also trying to use the very easy tool. It might be some kind of the equal waves, and that's also from the visualization perspective showing that the stops, the liquidity, where the liquidity is and what market may want to look for. As I promised, we have a few more minutes. As I promised, let's have a look what we have from Euro-Aussie perspective. It's a huge or even monster breakout to the upside. We took out the height from the beginning of the 2019, right? We are talking about this January 3rd high after this spike when there was no liquidity during the Asian hours. So we took out the high from the 3rd of January. As you can see, a little bit of the pullback right now. Again, I've been trying, not sure if it's going to work that way, but what I've been trying to figure it out here on Aussie was again some kind of the equal waves, and as you can see, is not accident that the market is trying to build the upper shadow based on this move to the upside, where we had this huge monster upper shadow, right? So we have similar situation when we are talking about the size of the move currently, right? Of course, because of the RBNZ action, the Aussie is another victim after the Kiwi dollar, and more weakness, especially if we are going to talk about the growing tensions between the US and China, right? If we are talking about this risk of sentiment, so more weakness might be the name of the game here. But in case of continuation, right? So what could be the best scenario to try to join the party, retest of yesterday low, but I'm not sure if that's something we've seen yesterday, right? Let's switch to the intraday chart. In that case, possible demand and the level where we should talk about possible longs are close to 65.70 with the stop below the latest weakness. In that case, we are talking about the 65.30, right? So that's the way in case you want to join the party on EURUSD. But it might be the better choice to try, instead of EURUSD, to try to jump in and trade Euro Kiwi, especially that we have this huge or monster breakout as well here, right? It's gonna be all about daily close right now, in my opinion, and of course we have to check where the possible supply resides, right? And right now we are testing this supply, so a little bit of the weakness from here cannot be ruled out. The best entry in case of the longs might be unfortunately much lower, and in that case we are talking about this zone, and we are talking about the level close to 72.60. It's almost 3 figures lower, and one can say, Piotr, are you crazy? Are we going to fold this 3 figure to the downside? Yeah, it could be the case. We are going to switch to the intraday chart, and we are trying to figure it out. Better entries from the intraday chart perspective. But guys, similar to what we discussed to EURUSD, it might be the time when the correction will come. So my way of thinking, trying to buy much lower, could be the case here as well, right? So let's switch and let's have a look what we have from Kiwi Yen perspective. Monster breakdown here to the downside. I've been trying to figure it out, where might be the next level of the possible demand, and we are trying to test the broken, if we are talking about because it's a monthly chart, guys, it's a monthly chart, so that was the previous consolidation phase. We are trying to right now to test the top of that consolidation, and when we are going to check what we've seen here on May 2006, right, so 13 years ago, right, then the consolidation under that level and then breakout. So it might be the case from the bulls perspective that we might see some kind of the bounce based on this possible over under formation, right? So there is some attempt to try to move the market. Then I would take the 50% of that consolidation as a next possible demand level. In that case, we are talking about the levels close to 64. So massive weakness because of the RBNZ moves. Massive weakness seen on the Kiwi dollar. So that's what we have to face. So in case of the intraday perspective, we discussed euro dollar cable and dollar yen. In case of the medium term and long term, Aussie and Kiwi dollar are the currencies worth to look at. And after a little bit of the corrective moves, right, on both Aussie and Kiwi, additional weakness is expected, especially that today's move done by the RBNZ create this vision that next cut and move below 1% when we are talking about the RBNZ, when we are talking about the New Zealand interest rates, the move below 1% could be the case. Guys, don't be trapped today. I'm going to make over the course of the day. I'm going to make the update about the crypto for sure. I'm going to make it today, as well as short update about the indices. So please subscribe to the channel. Click the ring the bell, so you are going to be informed about the new stuff on the channel. Guys, have a great morning session. Have a great London session. Don't be trapped, and see you around again. Goodbye.
It would be great to have someone who could do our work for us, right? Someone to prevent us from making mistakes. Someone to assist with our routine professionally and allow us to devote our time to communicating with our closest people. If only we could get results without wasting our time for nothing. Unfortunately, it's impossible in real life. But wait, light Forex social trading. Spend your time doing what really matters to you.